audience, welcome back again. I feel like I've been on, dude, this is my 5th webinar in a row, literally in a row. So this is fun. I'm glad we're doing this one. This is going to be one of my favorite ones of the week. I already know it. I'm excited to see what apps you've got. We've got my friend and business partner, Jeff, and also my friend and business partner, Nick. But it's Nick, how do you pronounce your last name? Because I was screwed up.
Knee house.
Knee house.
Yeah, like your knee and like a house, you know, but not spelled that way.
That's super easy, man. Well, I'm going to make you host. So here we go. Take it away, my friend.
Sounds good. All right. So I'm going to give everybody a quick word of warning here. We are going to be sharing phone screens. And so we'll be doing a lot of switching back and forth in terms of sharing. So hopefully that all goes smoothly, but considering how tech normally is, I'm sure there'll be a couple of hiccups here and there. So the idea behind today's webinar is pretty simple. Basically, we just want to show you a demonstration and some of the features, kind of best parts of 7 of our different favorite apps here. So I'm going to show you a bunch of them myself. Hopefully Jeff can chime in a couple because he's got a couple favorites as well. And yeah, we'll give you some ideas. I will tell you up front that some of these are free, some of them have free versions, and then some of them do cost money or have upgrade options, right? So by all means, please get them and try the trial version and experiment with them before you feel like you need to spend money on them. But what I have seen, especially researching these a little bit more deeply before this webinar, there are a lot of really cool, powerful features in these apps here. So they might be worth investing in. So like I said, simple format. We are just going to kind of hammer through a bunch of these back to back, and I'm going to try to share my phone screen. So first, let me talk about Viva Video. So Viva Video is pretty much, of all the apps we're going to show today, and one of the reasons I wanted to start with it is that it's probably the most complex. It's probably the most robust. And Viva Video in particular is essentially, it's a full editing software built into your phone, which is kind of crazy. I mean, honestly, probably a few years ago, I don't know that you could do this much video editing on a phone simply because the phones were not powerful enough. And now we're all walking around with these phones that are as powerful as laptops were just a few years ago. And so you can do almost all of the editing you would do on a computer, and certainly most of the basics with something like Viva Video. So there is a free version, and then you can upgrade to what's called their VIP plan. And the free version is going to allow you to do a lot of the stuff. But obviously, if you upgrade to VIP, you're going to have some extra options. So your basics are all included, your trim and cut features. You can add graphics, you can add music, images, you can add B-roll clips, voiceovers. You can speed things up and slow it down, change your aspect ratio. You can create slideshow videos. So a lot of cool stuff. So that's just a quick overview. Most of what we show today, like I said, is going to hopefully be screen share. So,
hey, Nick, let me add to that. I signed up for Viva Video and paid $50 for a life. So $50, and I have all of the Taj Mahal of Viva Video. And I will say this about Viva. Nick's going to show some of it. But for those of you out there that understand how to use either iMovie or We Video, which is like the iMovie equivalent for Android, Viva Video is just a step up. It gives you a lot more options, advanced text, you know, more creative text. You can use images. You can do a lot of fun stuff with it. I use it. I love it. If you have basic editing knowledge, you will love Viva Video.
all right, good stuff. Sorry, I'm just
No problem, dude.
I want to share my screen, and it says you gotta sign up for the webinar first. So let's see.
Oh, wait, are you on Zoom?
Yeah, so I'm trying to share my Android. So this is gonna give Tristan a good opportunity to give me crap here. So
No, I was just going to say, well, it has nothing to do with that. I'm joking. It does. Get an iPhone. Damn it. No, what you can do. I thought, hold on, dude. If you go to share screen,
yeah,
doesn't it give you the option to share your iPhone wirelessly? It should pop up there.
if I have an iPhone, man, I got an Android, so I'm supposed to use the share.zoom feature to get plugged in.
So
all right.
hey,
Well,
so let me answer a couple questions real quick, if you guys don't mind. They're already popping in.
Time for me, Jeff.
So Deborah, just if it can be used for an Android. Nick is using an Android, so the answer is yes. Viva Video is versatile. You can use it on both. A lot of questions about if it's versatile or if it's usable on an iPad. If your iPad can download apps, that's all it is an app. So Viva Video is no different than iMovie. You can iMovie on an iPad. I imagine you can get Viva Video as well.
Yeah, you know, that's a good point. Hold on, I lost my screen with you guys. Let me open it up again. Because, all right, so I have some apps too that I wanted to share with you guys. Some of them are the same. Oh, perfect, you're up. I want to share those really quick here. I'm going to grab a link. So you guys brought up Viva Video, and I actually did a quick little, let me open that up. Good, a quick little video on that of some other video apps that are out there, just in case you wanted to take a look at those. I made a quick few minute video. I'm going to share it in the link. So guys, take a look at that one before we get started, and do me a favor, subscribe, love it. And there it is. Back to you, Nick.
All right. Thank you for killing time for me. Appreciate it.
No problem.
So yeah, we're good. All right. I got it figured out. So this is Viva Video you're seeing on your screen here. And I'm not going to show you everything because I basically just want to show you the editing suite just to give you kind of a general sense here. So I'm just going to pull up a random video from my phone. So this was Vanessa and I went out to grab some sandwiches the other day. We started recording a couple clips that we're going to put together for a little bit of a highlight video. So this is just an example, but what's really cool about Viva Video is if you're familiar with editing on your computer at all, if you've used something like iMovie or something along those lines, you'll see here that it looks actually pretty familiar. So you have your timeline here at the bottom. I don't think Vanessa knew she was going to be featured in this webinar today, so I hope she's doing that. But what's cool here is that as you're scrolling back and forth, it's very similar to what you would do on a computer, right? So you have total control of your timeline. One thing you'll notice that I think is really helpful here is that you can, that it's all vertical, right? So when we're editing on a phone, obviously we're going to usually be holding our phone vertically like we normally would, and Viva Video is one of the few editing apps that's oriented that way. So it just kind of feels a little bit easier to use. Now, one cool thing you can do on here, which is exactly what you could do on a computer, is I can put both fingers down on either side of this timeline, and I can zoom in on it, all right? So you can see there as I'm doing that, you see how I'm getting really granular, I'm getting really zoomed in on the clip, right? So now if I move back and forth, it's only moving very slowly. And so what's cool about that is I can be really precise, because this is something that a lot of people complain about when they're editing on their phone, is that their fingers are not precise enough, right? So they're trying to tap on certain buttons, or they're in particular trying to get their video lined up in an exact spot, right? So you want to get right before I started talking or something like that. I'm literally moving frame by frame, if you can see that well enough, right? So that's one thing I really like about this app right off the bat, is I have a ton of kind of tactile control when I'm moving around. And then if we look at the list, I'm kind of scrolling this menu here at the bottom over. So I'm in, there's actually 2 layers of menus. At the very bottom is the main menu. And so that's where I can switch to music or clip edit or text and FX. And within clip edit, I have this additional menu that's got all of these different options, right? So that's something that kind of stands out about Viva Videos. There's a whole bunch of control, a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Like I said, we're not going to go over all of them today. This is really meant to be kind of a quick overview of each of these apps. But this is the app that we teach in the Business Video School. So we did an entire class on how to edit a video using this particular app. So a couple of the features, obviously you've got your split feature, which means I can take this clip and I can click on split, and now I actually have 2 separate clips that I can work with. You can see there I'm clicking on each one to highlight them. And then I can do things like adjust the speed of the clip, which is pretty cool. So I can make it really fast, I can slow it down, do slow motion, all that kind of stuff. I can come in here and I can also adjust, sorry, let me go back. So I got speed. You can mute the audio, you can adjust the volume levels. You have this cool, if you get the VIP feature, you can actually do the voice modulation. So you can make your voice really high, you can make it really low. There's like a robot feature. You can make yourself sound like a woman or a man, all that kind of stuff. There's transitions. So transitions, that's not something you see in a lot of these apps, being able to add those. You can adjust the coloring, right? So I can come in here and I actually have all these different filters, which are cool. So I can apply these different kinds of filters to the video, and I can adjust those. But if I have the VIP version, if I have the full version, I can actually come over here to this adjust, and I can adjust each one of these things separately. So I can adjust the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, which again is typically something you would have to be on a computer to have control over, right? And so that's a whole bunch of different things that I can do with this that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do with most of the apps we're going to be showing you today. Now, that being said, 9 times out of 10, you don't have to do this much stuff, right? So why we're going to show you the other apps, if we're showing you kind of the granddaddy of them all, so to speak, is that most of you are not going to want to deal with all of the nuance of this much editing, right? Because I'm only showing you a little bit of it, but if we kind of scroll along the bottom, like there's a whole section for music. You can add voiceovers, you can add music tracks, all the stuff you need, right? You've got your text and FX, like your special effects type stuff. So you can add
Nick,
graphics, you can add stickers.
Can you repeat the name and the spelling for this app, please?
Yeah, we'll go back to the slide in just a second. It's called Viva Video. So V-I-V-A Video, right? And then finally is the filter stuff, which I already showed you. So when you're done, you go ahead and you save your video. And then you can save in all of these different levels of quality, right? So if I have the VIP version, I can actually go all the way up to 4K. And you can create GIFs with this, which is a really cool, you know, almost kind of just thrown in additional feature. So if you have a shorter clip and you want to turn it into an animated GIF, which is really handy for sending in emails and things like that, or posting on social media, you can do that as well. So in here, I would select whichever one of those I want, and then it's going to render the video. And obviously that takes a little bit of time because depending on how much you add, it will take some time to create the new version of your video, right? Because if you went in and added music and some graphics and did some other types of adjustments, that's going to take a little bit of time to process. And then once it's done and it finishes that, it's obviously going to save it to your phone. And you can also come down here and select any of these buttons to just go ahead and share it directly to the platform. So a lot of these apps are like that, where when you're done making the video, all you have to do is basically push a couple buttons and it's going to get shared directly to social media, which obviously is very helpful, very handy, right? So there you go. That's Viva Video. So that's the very first of the apps. So let me go ahead and switch back to my slides here.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, so that was one I would say that is, of all of these apps, because it gives me the most control, that's probably my favorite one, right? Now, that being said, you know, 9 times out of 10, I don't want to do that much work, right? So I want to show everybody else some other options they have here. So I'm going to keep this slide up for just a second because I want to give you a chance to see the name. Sorry, Jeff.
Somebody asked for what the app looks like in the App Store. That's it right there. The Viva Video, the orange icon there. That is the image.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so that was app number 1. That's the one you want to get if you want to be doing, you know, full scale editing, all that kind of stuff. Now, one thing I want to point out here before we move to the next slide is you'll see we adjusted this a little bit from previous webinars. In the bottom right corner of the slide, you see where it says get video tips, and then it has a URL that you can go to. If you would like to sign up to receive the free video tips that we provide, so we've got, at this point, I think we have almost 20 different videos that we've created, which are all different tips on how to create video for your business, right? We started with a series of 14 initially. I think we've got at least 20 at this point. We're always adding to it. So if you would like to, number 1, if you'd like to receive those tips while we're doing this webinar, just go to bit.ly/freevidtips, right? So you can see that there on the bottom of the screen. And in addition to that, we will go ahead and send a list of all 7 of these apps to that email list, all right? So if you do want to receive a list of all 7 of the apps that we're covering today, we'll probably just go ahead and put the links to the App Store in there as well, make it super easy for you. You're going to want to be on that list, and we'll go ahead and send them over to you, all right? Okay, so that was the first one, was Viva Video. And the second one here is what's called Ripple, all right? So again, like I said, everything else I'm going to show you is going to basically get simpler than Viva Video from here. But the beauty of that is that these are, you know, now we're starting to get into the kind of apps that should basically eliminate any excuse you have for making video, right? So if you feel like, oh, video is too complex, or if you just saw Viva Video and you went, there's no way I would ever go through all of that work, you know, so be it, fair enough, right? But a lot of what we're going to show you here over the next few of these are going to be something that's simple enough that you really don't have an excuse not to be making at least really basic videos, okay? So what's cool about Ripple is that Ripple is very template based, all right? So one of the hardest parts to making a decent video is that there's a lot of thought that goes through it, right? There's a lot of decision making. You have to think about how you're going to shoot the video before you even go do it, right? You have to make a big plan. You have to know what you want the final product to look like before you even record the clips. You have to come up with how long each clip should be. You got to decide what the different kinds of graphics and things are going to look like. And unfortunately, that can get kind of frustrating. So Ripple is really cool because it's very much template based. And so it makes the process of editing your video pretty much straightforward because it intentionally limits what you're able to do. So sorry, I'm just go ahead and getting it pulled up on my phone so I can show it to you here. But a couple things while I'm getting set here that I wanted to just mention. So you've got templates, I already mentioned that. You can add or change the colors, the fonts, the music, and the media. So you do still have some control. That's really important for branding in particular, right? Because if you have consistent colors or certain kinds of fonts that you want to use, it's important to have that control. If you don't have that control, some of the videos you're creating aren't going to look the same, right? You can export your videos in 720p, and then you can also connect it to social accounts. And I believe this is one of the ones that where you basically just hit like 1 or 2 buttons and it posts it to multiple social media accounts for you, right? Now there is a pro version. It's a little bit more expensive, so we're talking almost 120 bucks a year in this case. But that does allow you to schedule your posts. It allows you to get rid of the Ripple branding. So a lot of these apps, that's how it works, is that there's going to be branding for the app in your video unless you pay them, right? So basically the trade-off is if you're not paying them, you're advertising for them, right? So that's how they can justify letting you use at least some of the features for free. And then you're also able to add your custom branding if you pay for it, as well as access some premium designs and music. So let me go ahead and see if I can get this one shared now. I gotta stop on one end first and then share on the other. Okay, here we go. This is Ripple. And so this one's cool because like I said, it starts out pretty simple, right? You're basically using templates. And so actually I can see that the computer screen's a little bit behind what I'm seeing on my end now. So I'll try to make sure I'm not getting too far ahead of the screen. But if we look through this, you can see at the top here that we have a whole bunch of categories, right? So there's this award category. Obviously that's going to give you templates that are kind of celebratory and are obviously all about, you know, awarding somebody. We're going to go back and look at a few of the others. So you got award, you've got how to. So how to is kind of cool, right? So if you want to give people kind of like an educational lesson, that type of thing, you can come in here and you can look at these different how to versions. I'll show you a couple more. We don't need to see all of them, obviously. You've got question. That's a great one, right? If you ask people a question on social media, you're going to get them talking, right? So that's a good one. Poll. It's another really cool one you can use. So I'm just going to pick one of these out just to show you a quick demo of how this stuff works. So let's try question. And so what this does is it creates this little animated post for you, right? So you actually don't need to have any of your own content if you want to just work with what they have built in. So you can scroll across the top here. Some of these are going to be pro versions, right? So you're going to have to actually pay some money in order to use some of these. But let's go ahead and let's see what this one looks like. All right, so you got this little person's shadow, and then this thing pops over and says, who's the most influential person in your life, right? So pretty simple stuff. Now, you could literally just use this as is. Like I wouldn't necessarily, I'd probably want to edit this a little bit, but you can, right? So what can you edit? Just to go over that really quickly. So at the bottom here is your editing menu. So I'm scrolling it left to right so you can kind of see what it looks like, right? And the first one is media. So that's where if I click on that, I can select clips from my phone. So like I got this picture of this oatmeal box from earlier. Don't ask me why. So I could put that in there, and now if I do that, when this this plays, it actually added that as a second slide in the video. All right. So let me see if I can get this to play the little demonstration now. Right, so you can see it just switches to that as the second image in the template. So again, you got to play around with this stuff. There is some work to do, but what's cool about that is I didn't have to do any sort of trimming. I didn't have to do any resizing or anything. I literally just grabbed a picture from my phone. I threw it in here and it just simply added it to the template, right? Same thing goes for the rest of this. I can click on text and that's going to allow me to edit the text that was on that. So instead of asking who's the most influential person in your life, I could change it to say, what's your favorite kind of oatmeal? Since I guess we're running with that theme at this point, right? So I'm not going to do that because we don't have much time right now. But you can control what the text says. You can control the font in here. So I can come in here and make changes to that. Obviously, that's pretty cool. So I go ahead and click on done there and it changes it on the screen. And then you can change the color, you can change the overlay color, all kinds of control here, right? And you can even add audio, so you can add some music. And then finally, you can adjust the size. So it usually looks like it defaults to square, but you can change this to a portrait video, and you can also change it to landscape. So we get that question a lot of, you know, how do I decide what kind of format I want, and how much control do I have over that? So this is a great example of one where you do have a lot of control over the format you're doing, right? And then finally, the one thing I will say is that it does give you this ripple slide at the end. So if you don't pay for it, you are going to see that, okay? If you do pay for it, then you can replace that slide with your own branding, which is pretty cool. So we would basically do our customization, and then we can export in 720 because, again, I'm using the free version, and we would click next, and it's going to go ahead and export it. So now what it's doing, and the reason that that little wheel is there, is it's generating the video. So while it's generating the video, I can come down to the bottom and I can select which one of these I want to share it on. So one of the things that's really cool about Ripple is all I have to do is just basically click on that, and it's going to turn it on, right? So I only added our one page for the demo purpose, but if I had other pages in here, I could actually select more than one thing, and it's going to share it to all of them pretty much with just one click, right? So you can come up here and you can change the caption for the post. Obviously, you're going to want to do that because otherwise the default stuff is there. But again, it's going to say hashtag made with Ripple via ripple.com if you don't pay for it, right? So that's just some of the basics of Ripple. When you're done, you go ahead and click on share. Pretty simple, right? So I really like that one. I think it's a good example of something that's very useful, but is not nearly as complicated as the Viva Video app, which is obviously a lot more. So let me just go ahead and switch back here.
Nick, a couple questions. Can Ripple is Ripple used for videos or only pictures?
Both. You can add videos or pictures. Yep.
Do you have to use their first image and then yours is the second?
No, you can edit pretty much anything you see in there. So they're basically just templates. You can delete media and switch things in and out and stuff like that. So, and there's a lot of different templates. So.
Let's see here. We've got another comment from Deborah. Let's see here what she's saying. Free Ripple is pretty limited in templates, but I've used it a lot to advertise open houses on Facebook. Listen to all the music choices. One is much better than the others. It's very easy to use if you're not tech savvy. Thanks for the share, Deborah.
Cool. So let's talk next about Boomerang. So some of these are going to be a little bit simpler, so we can move through them a little bit quicker, which is good. Boomerang does one thing, but it does it very, very easily, which is it creates very short videos that play back to forward. All right. So that's it. So it's 1 second of somebody swinging a bat and then them bringing the bat back and swinging the bat again, and it just plays it over and over again, right? So I'm sure you've seen these before. They're very popular on Instagram. I think Boomerang as an app was actually built by the team at Instagram for that reason, and they just built it out as a separate app. And so it's really, that's it. That's all there really is to it. So I don't need to spend a ton of time talking about it. Let's go ahead and show it to you. So let me go ahead and find.
Nick, let me give an opinion on this one. So,
yes,
well, first of all, let me digress for a second. Janice asked should you mention if it's for business on Ripple? She was asking about Ripple. Do you have to specify for business?
Not that I know of, but I'm not sure either way. But I know they automatically are going to put that call out to themselves in your post and your video anyway. But I'm not under the impression that you have to say it's for business necessarily.
Very good. And then for Boomerang. So my opinion on this, and our people use it just for this, and I see a lot of people in our market, which is St. Louis, that'll do this, is that everybody takes a closing photo with your borrowers, right? Either with the loan officer, without the loan officer, just the realtor and the borrowers, whatever. But one of the cool things to do to grab more attention to your post is do a boomerang, which is just that 3-second loop where Nick's going to show you. And that is a cool way to make your post stand out more, probably get more engagement. Very, very simple use of it, but use it instead of taking the traditional picture, do a boomerang.
All right, so here we go. It's pretty simple. All right, so way it works is this is literally what you see when you open the app, right? So there's not really any menus or anything like that. You can use existing clips. So if you have something in here that you want to use or that's short enough, it's got to be really short. But the way you do them is you just literally hold this button down and then you just record a very short clip, right? So the idea here is you want usually some sort of action. So there you go. All right, so that's me going from sad to happy over and over again, right? So it's 1 second. I think that's literally how long that is. It's just 1 second long. So once you've recorded your little clip there of yourself making some faces, or a lot of people do like, you know, jumping up in the air. So you're like jumping up and down basically over and over again. You got to be creative a little bit here, right? But a couple of things you can control that I'll show you real quick is you can control the speed. So I can go all the way down and make it basically kind of slow motion. Right, and it's going to look a little bit choppy if you do that, and then I can also speed it up. So now I'm making the face over and over again, right? On the right-hand side, you can also trim it. So if I want to say, well, you know, I want it to just have me just getting mad or whatever, or just being happy, I can move the clip over to that side, and now I'm just opening my mouth basically over and over again. Sorry, it's kind of weird. I wish I could pause it. Anyway, so that's how you trim it, and then when you're done, you can just go ahead and click on the check mark, and that's going to give you an option to save it and then share it, right? So I can share it to Facebook, I can share it to Instagram, and then there's all kinds of other places that you can share it as well. Really, it was designed, like I said, by Facebook. I needed to make that stop. Okay, there we go. It was designed by the Facebook team because they own Instagram, right? So Facebook owns Instagram. So that one, that's it. That's all it does. There's nothing much else to that particular app. But it does that one thing really well, and it can be quite handy for just coming up with, you know, fun little clips that you can create. Like Jeff said, that's a great example of a way that you can use Boomerang that is just that much more eye-catching, right? So anything you can do that really stands out is going to be great. And I think Boomerang also kind of operates on the same principle as TikTok, which is that really short, repeated videos have a tendency to really grab people, right? So that's exactly what TikTok does, is keep it short, and then just have it playing over and over and over again. All right. Whew, all right, so that's 3 so far. Let's go move on here to the next thing. So before we move on to the remaining 4, because we do have a pretty packed presentation today, I did want to mention the school before we get to the end in case people do need to get running, right? So just for 2 minutes really quickly here, I just want to mention what is Business Video School and how can you learn more about it. And so Business Video School is similar to these webinars. So if you've been on these webinars before, what we do in the school is we're basically teaching business owners and business professionals, especially real estate agents, about 20, I would say, well, actually like 95%, I know I said 20, but 95% or so of our school is real estate agents, right? So this is really kind of intentionally designed for real estate agents. It's a program where every week we are going to get together in a classroom style setting with your peers, and you're going to go through a training, but it's not just training, it's also practice. So we do a lot of exercises during each of the lessons in the school. And at the end of each of them, we also assign a simple homework project that is something you can use in your business, right? So you're actually making video content that you could literally turn around and post directly to social media to start growing your brand and your following and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to mention that right now. We have a class that starts next Thursday, so 1 week from today. So usually when we get to about a week away from a class starting is when we start having a bunch of people sign up, because, you know, obviously people tend to wait a little bit towards the end. That's fine. So if you do want to learn more about that, obviously I will mention more at the end of this presentation, but if you go to bizvideoschool.com, and actually Jeff, I don't know if you can maybe throw that in the chat while we're going through this right now, but bizvideoschool.com, that's where you can learn more about the school, and you can go ahead and get enrolled. So that class starts 1 week from today. So you do still have a little bit of time. We do limit the classes to 50, and so far the past 2 have both sold out. So it probably would be a good idea to look into that today, start to get a sense of whether or not it's a good fit for you. So just want to mention that briefly. Don't want to spend too much time on it at the moment, but did want to mention in the middle because sometimes we don't have enough time left at the end of the presentation. So moving on.
Nick, I've been sharing the text tips codes to everyone as well. So I'm going to be sending that to everyone just personally. I'm going to share Biz Video School in the chat, but I will continue to type that in as I see more people ask. The last app we did, somebody just asked, Chris just asked, that was Boomerang, right?
Boomerang, yep.
Boomerang, so there you go.
All right, moving on. So let's talk about Big View. And Jeff, I think this is one that you're pretty familiar with, if I'm not mistaken, so you may want to chime in as well. But Big View is, I think, kind of started out predominantly as a teleprompter app, right? So this is one of those apps where you can put your script on the screen, you can use your selfie camera, and you can basically just read it while you're recording yourself, right? So it's a really cool, handy, basic tool. But they've also added some additional editing features that aren't bad, actually, from what I looked through. So a lot of the most basic stuff you would need to edit in a video, you can do directly through the app. So that means you don't have to jump off and put it into Viva Video or any of that kind of stuff, right? So the basic gist of it is the script's going to roll on the screen. You can read it. It's going to put a big view watermark on the video, and then you can share it, right? So you can do that for free. That's the free version of it. But if you pay for the pro plan, the $79.99 a year version, you're going to be able to add captions to the video. So what you can do is take the script you just read, and it's going to add it as captions below the video, which is cool. You can add your logo, lower third graphics, and titles. There's commercial-free music. There's also a little biz card animation that you can put at the end, and it even has green screen features. So a lot of these apps, you know, they start out as a basic tool, and then as they start to gain some popularity and catch on, they start to add additional features. So let me go ahead and pull this one up on my phone. And while I'm doing this, Jeff, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about kind of your experience using Big View and maybe some of the situations where you found it helpful.
Yeah, so for me, I prefer authentic video by and large. However, every once in a while I have either just kind of this thing I've scripted in my head, and I don't want to try to rehash it in my head, and I really want it to be crisp, so I will type it into Big View and literally use the teleprompter. Another reason I use it is if I'm creating content that I am putting out, like I'm doing a targeted ad or I'm targeting a video to a recruit or to a client, and it's more on the advertisement side, that's when I want to be very, very crisp. So again, most of the time I want to be authentic, and ums are okay, and you know, mistakes are okay. But when I'm really wanting to display my brand for the business, something for that reason, then I would definitely use a teleprompter. I will literally write the script word for word, and I will read it as if I'm presenting at the Grammys, essentially. Again, you don't want to make it look like you're a robot and you're reading something. So make sure you use tonality and inflection and whatnot, but it really allows you to look like a stud in front of the video camera, which is exactly what you want to display, especially if you're talking to a potential recruit versus the guy who's umming or looking to the side, etc. You know, look in the eye of the camera the whole time.
Right. So one of the things I will say that helps whenever you're reading from a script is just practice. The more you've practiced the script, the more organic it's going to feel, and the more likely you are to be able to use inflection and, you know, emotion and all that kind of stuff. So think of, you know, having a script on the screen as helpful, but hopefully not necessary, right? So something that's just kind of a, you know, if you forget the words, you can kind of, you look at them, but if you have it pretty much memorized or somewhat close to that, you're going to probably deliver it a little bit better. So here's how it works. We're going to go ahead and click on this plus button here, and I can actually choose from present without a script or present obviously with a script, which I'm going to show you that particular version. So you can come in here and you can type out your own script, or you can switch over to, so you type out your own script here, and then you would go ahead and save it. So I'm actually going to go back to the home screen because I don't need to type anything out right now. Okay, so for instance, if I have an existing one, I can just click on it and open it, right? And then once I've opened my script here, I'm going to go ahead and click on the video camera, all right? And that opens up the actual front-facing camera, but now you can see on the screen, I actually have my little message here, all right? So what I do is at the bottom, the stuff I want to show you real quickly is you can adjust the quality of the video. You have this button that allows it to auto stop when the script is over. So the video is going to stop recording when the script ends. So that's kind of helpful, right? You don't have to worry about hitting the button. You can adjust the light here. You can lock the auto exposure when the recording starts. So this is really something a lot of people don't think about, but is really useful because the camera in your phone is going to automatically adjust the exposure all the time, right? So you'll see even on these like webinars, if you look at my camera and like as I put my hand up, the video actually adjusts to the brightness of my hand, right? So the same thing happens when you're doing one of these videos is that it'll get brighter and darker. So by locking that exposure, you avoid that problem. So that's kind of handy. You can adjust the size of the text, right? So I can adjust that up and down. And you can also adjust where the text is, right? So I can do that. I can decide where I want it positioned, left, right, center, all that kind of stuff. Now, I would typically want it to be below the camera. So on my phone, the camera is a little bit over towards the right side. And so I want it to be below the camera there. And so I moved it over to the right. And then I can also adjust the speed, really important, right? So I can increase the speed or decrease the speed. It also allows me to pause when it's silent. So for instance, if I have a situation where, I stop talking, it would stop the text from scrolling in that case, all right? And then I can also turn the camera around, and then I can turn it back. Okay, cool. And so what I would do in this case is I would just go ahead and hit record, and it's gonna give me a countdown so I can kind of get myself prepared, which is nice. And then I just start reading my script. Hi, this is Nick Niehaus from Connect Marketing. I'm making my first video with Big View, all right? So pretty simple. Once you're done, you hit the stop button. It's gonna show you this screen. It's going to give you a whole bunch of stuff you can mess with. I'm not going to show all of it to you for lack of time. And then you go to share. And this is where if all you did was just use the recording, it's going to allow you to share it with the Big View logo on it. But if I want to come in here and do the cropping and the editing, that's where I got to pay money, right? So that's the difference between the paid version and the unpaid version. But you do have both options there, okay? So that's Big View. Primarily, it's going to be great for just having actually having your script on the screen, right? So it's kind of primarily a teleprompter app, but I do like the additional features if you decide to pay for them. But it's, in terms of the free version, it's a great way to have a teleprompter in front of you. So one last time, that is Big View, BIGVU, and let's move on to the next one. All right.
Let me give one piece of advice too, Nick. Yeah. For those of you who don't like Big View or don't want the teleprompter feature, one thing that you can do that I use all the time is I'll use a Post-it note, put bullet points on it so I can stay to, I don't script it, but so I can stay very tight and know exactly what I'm going to say to my message. And I will post it, I will stick it right next to the eye of my camera. That way my eyes don't have to travel too far and my bullet points are right there, and I don't lose track. I don't ramble. That's just a simple tip that anybody could use, and it's quite easy to do.
Cool. Well, and actually, Jeff, since you're talking right now, go ahead and leave yourself off mute, because I want you to talk a little bit about Veemly. And I'll pull it up and show it to people, but it's not so much something that we need to demo as it is just kind of explain what it does. So do you want to talk a little bit about it while I pull it up?
Yeah, actually, Tristan's back. I'll let him talk about it. I can tell you why I use Veemly is because I like to use it so when you're in a video and you see that you have a title above and below your video to basically give your audience kind of context of what the video, you can basically tease it and let them know what it's going to be about. That's why I use Veemly. There's other options you can actually edit inside of Veemly, but I don't. I just use it to add titles. Very easy to use, so where it stays on the video, top and bottom, the entire way through. But Tristan, you add to this because I know you love Veemly.
Yeah, Veemly is extremely powerful, guys. I think it's one of my favorite apps to use. Do you want me to pull? Oh, you already pulled it up. Sweet.
Well, why don't, if you had the paid version, Tristan, why don't you pull it up? Because I don't have.
Yeah, let's do that. Let me share my screen. That was a quick call, by the way, Jeff. I just jumped back on. Let me see.
We're glad you're back. We're glad.
Here we go. I'm going to share it. Just, there we go. Zoom. All right, guys. Can you see my screen? Good. Beautiful.
Cool.
All right. So I'm going to look up Veemly. There it is. I don't know if it's Veemly. I don't know what the hell it is. I just know that I use it. Here we go. So the first thing that pops up is this. I have the paid version, so I pay up to $10. I think it's almost $10 a month, but I use it so much that it's worth it for me. And I'll show you how easy it is to use. You click on Create Social Video. You have choices. It has the pictures next to it, so you know what social media outlet those would belong to. I use the very first one at the top. It's square. I click on it. Then I have some more choices. I'm like, oh, these are kind of cool, but I always gravitate to the same one. And that's the one that's black here with the top heading and the bottom heading, the one that says Jeff Davis shares why innovation matters. That's the one I choose the most. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And then from there on, it's going to share this page with me and say, okay, well, what video would you like to put in the middle, right? And all we do is click in the video area, and then I would change the video. And then I'd go to my video section and be like, okay, which video would I like to put? Let's click on that video, click next, It interjects that video. I can shorten it. I can lengthen it. I can say, you know what, that's enough. I like it. Touch on the top, delete it, and just type in you need. And then just type in whatever you want after you're done. So so far it says the message you need to hear today. Done. Now I'm done there. I can export it. You see, I can export it as a 1080p naturally or 4K. I can also add some captioning, but just for the purpose of going fast, I'm going to export it. And then you see how fast that was? That was like less than a minute. Maybe if you're timing me, I might have gone over a little bit. But when you're done, it uploads, and then you can then directly share it into Instagram, directly share it into Facebook, whatever you want. But it really depends on how fast your internet speed is. And after this, I'm going to show you how it rolls and how it plays. I don't know what video I chose, guys, so I have no idea if that video is even relevant. I just wanted to show you that once you're done recording on your camera, you can take it on and then just create really quick content on this. Now it's ready to go. See, this is what it's going to look like.
I'm owner in a couple of brokerages, and I run a few teams all across.
There it is, and that's how it rolls. I can download it into my phone. I can post it directly to Instagram or hit up more, and I can share it, text it, whatever I want. So that's really how easy Vemly is. It's pretty powerful.
That's awesome.
Hey, can I add something too? Because we're getting a lot of questions and I think a little bit of confusion about the difference between what you did with BigView and what we're doing with Vemly, and what transcription and creating captions for your videos, which we use rev.com, which is a website, not an app. It's $1 per minute. And you upload the video to their website, and they will literally transcribe everything that you're saying so that people can watch it with the sound off. So I just wanted to be clear about that. rev.com. I'll put it in the chat as well, but that's what we use.
That's a good point. And guys, there are lots of other apps that we use. These are the main ones we wanted to share with you. I put up a link there in the chat. There are other apps that we're not touching on that we also use, that all of us use here. Just for the purpose of time, we wanted to narrow down to the ones we felt were the best. So I'm going to put up that link right there. Do me a favor, watch it, subscribe it, click on the little bell so you get notified when we upload everything there. Back to you, Nick.
All right, thanks. Yeah, and if we covered every app we would be here for several days probably, right? So there are lots of apps. There's a lot of preference that goes in this too. So one person loves one app, one person loves a slightly different version just because they got started with it first or whatever. So yeah, please keep that in mind. By all means, this is not a comprehensive list, and these are just quick overviews, but just getting the juices flowing, giving you some ideas for things you might be able to try yourself, right? So we got 2 left.
I think also user-friendly is the key here. These are user-friendly. These are easy to use, and that's one of the reasons why we share them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good point, dude. I mean, you saw how fast we're doing this because it's really easy.
Yeah, and speaking of easy, we got 2 more pretty simple ones for you, so they shouldn't take too much longer to talk about. So Mojo, all right. So Mojo is basically it's a stories generator, right? So it's kind of like Ripple, right? But it's a little bit more specific for stories on Facebook and Instagram. Obviously, there's stories in other places as well. So it's very much template based, just like Ripple. You're going to be able to basically kind of drag and drop, throw a couple of your existing clips in there. And then you can add some basic animation, some basic tracks. And it's $40 a year if you want the paid version, right? So there's not too much to cover here. So I want to go ahead and pull it up and show it to you really quickly. So let me find it on my phone. At this point, I have so many apps open, it's hard to keep track of them all. All right, here we go. All right.
Dude, tell me about it.
Right.
Hey, Nick, while you're doing this, let me answer a couple of questions real quick.
Please do, yeah.
Monica asked, what does the free version of Vemly give you? Exactly what you saw, Monica. Really, the biggest caveat to Vemly is that if you do the paid version, you can add your logo. If you don't do the paid version, a watermark of Vemly. I use the free version because I don't care, but you can actually add your logo onto those, which is pretty cool. I don't pay for it, so I don't know what else you get with the paid version. Tristan, you might know.
Yeah, you get the ability to actually caption. If it's under a minute, it lets you caption it for free, and it uses their technology to translate what you're saying You just have to tweak it. It's about 95% accurate, but that's one of the biggest benefits that you get from it, that they actually caption it.
Cool. All right, so this is the app here. So this is what you're gonna get. Like I said, pretty basic, right? So there's not as many features in this one. What we're gonna do is with the top here, you can select from the category. So you have all kinds of different categories of templates, and everything in this is template based, right? So I'm gonna just kind of look at my different options here. And some of these are pro, right? So you can see that they're marked as pro. You do need to pay to have access to those. So let's keep it simple. Let's go ahead and select this first one. And all you really do is you pick the template you want, and then you click on that icon in the middle where it shows the video. And let's just grab that clip we used before. Let's go ahead and put that in there. So it does take a few seconds usually to generate because you're using an actual video clip in this case. So might take too long for us to actually see, but I'm gonna go back and try to use a picture if I can, maybe. Let's try something a little simpler.
Nick, what's the name of this app, Nick?
This was Movo, right? Mojo, sorry, mispronouncing. Mojo. And we'll go back to that slide in a second so you can see the logo and everything that you need, right? So all this does is it's gonna go ahead and use that image. And what's cool about this, it's kind of funny that it's just a picture of an oatmeal box, but what's cool about it is that it's going to create all of this motion without any editing, right? So all I did was take a still image and throw it in here, and it's doing multiple things, right? The black bars are gradually expanding, and it's zooming out slowly on the photo, so it kind of creates this double effect that I did nothing to create, right? So super simple. I love this stuff that keeps it really, really simple for you. And the second thing you can do is click on the text here, and you have full control over your text, right? So I can let's see, like, you know, waking, we'll say waking up. Actually, they literally said that already, didn't it? Maybe it was kind of appropriate to use oatmeal for this particular one, right? And so we can type out the text, we can adjust the size of it, right? So maybe we want to make it bigger or smaller, we can increase it. That's way too big, right? So we can make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. You can change the alignment, the color, if you want to pick a different color for it, all that kind of stuff. And then the duration as well can be adjusted here. So just a couple things you can do, and then you click on save, and that's it, right? So really simple. Like I said, I love these simple apps. Actually, it's something that I love preparing for these webinars because I'm always feeling like I'm realizing like, oh, wow, I need to be using more of this stuff because this really is that much easier, you know? Because honestly, like every time I look into this stuff again, they've gotten substantially better, you know? I mean, a lot of these apps just simply weren't this easy to use even just 6 months ago. So once you've done it, obviously you got your buttons here at the bottom. You can click on the share button, and you can post this to all kinds of different places that you now have available, right? So really, really simple to share. And then when you're done, just go ahead and click on done. So that's how you deal with that. And then once you've done that, yeah, I like Mojo so far. It's going to ask me to read it. Not now. All right, so once you've created it, it's going to live here in the app, and you can come back and access it and use it at any time, which is also pretty handy. Okay. Whew, one more to go. Let's go ahead and get our slides back up to wrap things up here. So again, that was Mojo, M-O-J-O, if you want to look into that. And again, I have the link for our video tips. So bit.ly/freevidtips would be where you go if you want to sign up for our free video tip list. You get all kinds of free advice on making video for your business, and you will get a link to a document that gives you all 7 of these apps and where you can find them, okay? All right, so the last one we got for you is probably
Nick,
the most basic. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, let's answer a couple of questions. Is Mojo owned by Mojo Dialing? Do you know?
No,
I do not know that.
it's not.
No.
It's
Tristan
not.
says no. I've got another question that I've seen more than once here. For Zoom recordings, is there an app that you would recommend for framing those? And before you answer that, I think my answer to that would be if you download it and you have one of these apps on like an iPad or on a Mac, you could probably put them in there, or you could download it to your phone and then put that video, use the app in your phone. But do you guys have a better answer than that?
No, unless you're streaming it directly into an actual piece of software that works simultaneously with Zoom where you can frame it. I don't think you could do that. The only thing that comes to mind for me is if you use something like Ecamm Live, where you can then stream Zoom through Ecamm Live, you can definitely frame it there and use some different fonts to show up on the front, at the bottom, some video intros, video outros, and all that good stuff. But that requires a lot of work that a lot of you are probably not going to get into because that's not our job. Our job is to be real estate agents. So that gets too much into it. So don't even try it.
What about Movavi? Does anybody have experience with Movavi? I do not.
Hold on. I think I do. Let me just make sure if it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that one I highly recommend as well. Movavi's really good for making small clips and kind of doing exactly what Mojo did with slightly different changes. You can add a lot more lights to it, change the colors. So definitely Movavi is good. But again, you have to pay for the full version of it. Cool.
All right, so this is recorded. I'm not going to spend much time on it because literally all it does is record your screen, but that is something that comes up a lot, right? So all you do is you open it up, you get the recording going, and you click on Start Broadcast. And one of the things that's cool about this particular app is it's going to allow you to, you can record your voice, right? So I can actually do a voiceover. So like right now, this is Vanessa's phone, so I'm not going to downsize the app because I don't know what's on the screen, right? It's not fair. But it's just going to record whatever's on my screen. So if you want to look at other apps, if you want to do, a demo of something on your phone, if you're trying to help somebody who is a little more tech illiterate and they're having trouble understanding where a button is or something like that, this is super handy. You can go in here and show them step by step and then send it over to them, obviously. But it's super, super basic. Screen recorder apps, I'm not going to say that like this particular one is better or more important to get than others. But you got to have one on your phone, right? So some phones have that feature built in, some don't. This is available on the iPhone in particular. So if you want to get this one, you can, but screen recording can be very, very helpful, especially one where you can record your voice as you're recording. So that is why we recommended this one, because it does allow you to record your voice. But overall, that one's a pretty basic one. We just wanted to make sure we included a screen recorder app because that is something that comes up fairly often. All right.
Nick, let me give a testimony to that because I use Record It, and most phones come with a recording feature, right?
Right.
But we use it all the time, for example, to share our app. So I'm in the mortgage business, so we share a screen grab to show a client, hey, here's how you can apply, or here's how you can use the mortgage calculator, or here's how you can follow along with the progress of your loan. If you're a realtor and you have an app so they can do home searches, you can send your client a screen record walking them through how to use the app. Or even I use it, for example, people a lot of times are asking me, how do I do this in TikTok? Or how do I do this in Instagram? And I will literally just record my screen, show them exactly what I'm doing. It's just a cool feature that allows you to kind of differentiate. So when a client asks for something or when a colleague asks for something, if you're a leader, you can share this with your people. If they ask for something, using this app is far more powerful than I think most people actually realize. It's really cool.
No, that's a great point. It's always better to show than tell, right? So this is a great opportunity to show people exactly what they're doing. And when it comes to tech adoption, if you can show someone how something works when you first get them to download it, especially like this kind of stuff where you have your own app, they're way more likely to actually use the app that way, right? So just a little bit of being proactive can definitely go a long way. Okay. Whew, man, that was a lot. We got through 7 app demos in 1 hour. I think that's probably the fastest I've moved demonstrating things ever. So it was good. All right. So we are wrapping up at this point. Obviously, if you have any more questions, let us know in the chat. We do have a couple minutes left. So I did want to just do a quick overview, as we always do at the end of these, about the Business Video School, because that's obviously what we're here to promote and talk about. So Business Video School, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, is really intended for busy business professionals. So if you're the kind of person that feels like you have a lot going on and you feel like you want to start trying to use video, maybe you've made a couple videos but you've never gotten really the hang of it, or maybe you've just really never tried to use it in your business at all yet, this is for you, right? That's who we're talking to. We're talking to the people that really want to figure out how to start doing this, right? So we showed you a bunch of apps today. That's great. And you can go out and experiment with it all you want. But if you'd like to proactively get good at this very quickly, then that's who we're talking to, right? So If you're not interested in using video in your business, you can just tune out at this point, or you can obviously hop off. But if you are, I just want to show you a couple quick slides on how the school works and why it might be a good fit for you, right? So the school, the concept here is pretty simple. We're going to do a weekly training. So the training is a group training. So that's one of the differences between this and a lot of online learning, is that you're going to be able to get together with your fellow classmates. So we meet at the same time on the same day every week. We have different paces of training. So sometimes we do 12 units in a course. Sometimes we do 6 units in a course. At this point, we're actually building out multiple different courses. So most people are going to sign up for our entry-level course, which is basically just the most simple, basic form of making video with just a phone. And you're going to meet together with your class every week to go over that information. So I'm actually realizing I think this slide might be a little bit out of date. Let me refresh real quick, see if I...
Well, dude, by the end of the year, you're going to have so many hundreds of classes. It's going to be insane.
We're going to have a lot of classes going. Yeah, we are going to have a lot of classes going. So anyway, I apologize. There is a typo on the slide. The classes are actually 1 hour long, not an hour and a half. That is an adjustment that we decided to make. So it's a little bit more digestible. So basically, you get together once a week with your class for 1 hour. You're going to do a bunch of practicing, learning to do video, and then you're also going to be creating homework projects that you can use in your business, right? So just to give you an example, in the first few weeks, you're creating an introduction video. You're creating an advice video. We're teaching you how to talk about topics that are not business related, right? I mean, this is something Jeff harps on all the time because it's a big deal, is too many people when they first start making video, all they ever do is talk about their business because that's all you kind of think you should or can talk about. And we're going to teach you how to not do that, right? How to come up with other categories of topics that people are going to appreciate that are not business, right? So here's some examples of the types of training that we're doing. We're teaching you how to make video with a smartphone. In the first class, everything we cover is just about the smartphone. So we're not asking you to invest in any equipment, buy a fancy camera, none of that stuff. It's all about the smartphone and just using your natural environment to create quality content, right? We're going to help you create a video strategy. We're going to help you learn to enhance your videos, so how to do some basic editing, things like that. And then one of the most important parts, you're going to learn through the school how to distribute your videos correctly, right? Because if you don't distribute your videos properly, you don't get the attention that you should on them, right? They're not going to be doing as much valuable work for you. So we're going to make sure that you understand how to do that. So that's just a sampling, right? I mean, we're going to cover everything you can ultimately imagine when it comes to using video in your business, including things like how to advertise your videos as well, right? Some really kind of more advanced stuff. But I don't want to talk too much about that because this is really about just getting started, right? So we give you started, we get you started nice and slowly and easily and reasonably. And then as you want, you can add additional courses from there, right? So as you feel more confident, you want to get into editing, you want to get into scripting, you want to get into the more elaborate type stuff, those courses will be available for you as well. So I have a couple slides here with just a couple quick testimonials. These are from people that have literally been in the school right now. So these are testimonials that we've received just in the past 3 or 4 weeks. So these are, in a lot of cases, your peers. Actually, I think a lot of our students are people that have seen previous of these webinars and have gone and signed up for the school as a result. So, really, I think for all the quotes I'm showing you here, the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that people are simply taking action. I mean, I can't tell you how many real estate agents and business professionals I've met over the years who have told me that, hey, I really want to start using video in my business, but I don't know, I'm intimidated, or I bought a bunch of equipment and I can't figure out how to use it. I haven't learned how to use it yet. That's something we don't recommend. We actually recommend starting with just the phone so you don't create that problem for yourself. But a lot of people just simply don't know that, right? So we break it all down for you. We show people exactly what they should be doing from the beginning. And ultimately, we're going to show you some of the stuff you shouldn't do. Like one thing that's come up a lot is, should I edit my own videos? And I'll tell you, if you don't like editing, it's probably not a good use of your time. So not only are we going to help you decide that, but we're going to help you figure out who should edit the videos if you can't, right? So that's another thing that we're able to help you out with in the school. So again, just a whole bunch of quotes. I like providing social proof, show you that people actually are getting some value out of their time in the school. But I don't want to take too much more time on this. So we'll go ahead and kind of get wrapped up at this point. So the final thing I will say is that if you do want more information, right? So you're looking to learn more about the school, I can sit here and answer some questions for you by all means. So we'll switch to that in just a second. But what you need to do is you need to go to bizvideoschool.com. All right. So that's VIDEO school.com. And I think Jeff put that in the chat. I'll go ahead and throw it in the chat again here in just a second. So all you got to do is basically click on it. But that's where you're going to learn more about the school, and you're going to have a chance to enroll as well. All right. Cool. So that is
we've got a lot of questions.
I'm going to look at the
Nick,
chat. Yeah.
Nick, we've had a lot of, it's been a fire hose today, but we've been responding to all of them. The one question we just had was, is it ongoing? Is it, because they're asking about the cost, which I'm mentioning in there is $97 a month for individuals. And the question is that for one class? How would you answer that question? Because it's really ongoing, and it's essentially perpetual. It's gonna be a campus, right, Nick? I don't know if you want to explain how that works.
Sure, absolutely. So the way to think about it is, yeah, you pay $97 a month to be enrolled in Business Video School, right? From there, there's all kinds of different things that you can do. So first of all, I mean, we're still pretty new, so we're continuing to build all this out. But when you enroll, you can start with our very first course, right? So that's your basics of video production with just a smartphone. However, once you're done with that, you're going to have a choice of several other courses that you can then move into, right? So there's a few things you can decide to do, right? Number one is, as long as you're a member in the school, you can go back and access anything you've already been through. So most of our students seem to be preferring to kind of take one course and then take a few weeks to sort of digest and practice, right? Take the skills they learned and go utilize them. But what's cool is that even though your course is done, you're still a part of our, what we call our campus, which is kind of our central hub for the Business Video School. So that means that you can go post your video and you can get feedback on it. So even if you're not enrolled in a class, you can still interact with the students and the instructors. So you can come into the campus and say, hey, I made this video. I'd really like feedback from a few people on it, right? So that's particularly useful. And then once you're ready, you can enroll in the next course. So what we really want to do is we wanted to basically split up all the different things that you might need to learn into their own components so that you can take them one at a time, right? So you can enroll in each of the courses as you need it. So for instance, after you do the first training, you might say, hey, I really want to learn some editing. So now I'm going to go ahead and enroll in the editing course. Or some of our stuff is so small, it's so short, we don't even need to create a class for it, right? So there's a couple of them that are kind of just one-off trainings. So we might say, hey, on a certain day, at a certain time, we're hosting this just one-time training. We're going to learn to do a house tour video, something like that, right? And you can come on and sign up for just that one thing. So there is a lot of variety. There's a lot of different things that you can do within the school. And ultimately, we want it to be the kind of experience where you're able to continue learning for as long as you like. You can come and go too, right? So if you want to come in for a few months, pick up a course or two, learn some skills, and then leave, and you want to come back again 6 months later, that's fine as well, right? So we want to make it as flexible really as we can. Hopefully that kind of answers that question.
Nick, how long is the first course? A couple people have asked.
So the first course is actually going to be 6 classes. So it's 6 units. So it's a month and a half long, right? And then once you're done, you'll be able to choose an additional course, or you could just be done at that point, right? It kind of depends on what you want to do. But even if you don't enroll in an additional course, there's going to be stuff going on in the campus at all times. Yeah. So there's always something cool to check out.
What about, is there a certain level of iPhone that you need for the class? And somebody just asked which, they have an iPhone 6 now, they're thinking about upgrading. My answer to them was get the latest, greatest, get the 11. But obviously I understand there's probably a budget. Is there a certain level of iPhone they need to have in order to be in the class? And by the way, you can be Android or iPhone.
Yeah, I would say, well, you got to have a camera in your phone, right? So, I mean, technically some of the early iPhones didn't have a camera in them, right? So if you don't have a camera that can record video, I should clarify that it has to be able to record a video. That's it. That's really the only requirement. So as long as you have a phone that records video, you can participate in the class. But obviously, as Jeff just said, the newer the phone you have, the better, right? The better kind of quality of image you're going to collect. But yeah, as long as it's got a camera in it that records video, you should be good to go.
bizvideoschool.com, bizvideoschool.com. You can text the words learn video all together, LEARN video all together to 44222, and you'll get a bunch of free tips. You'll basically be opted in to receive the emails, everything that we send out after these webinars with the additional tips, with any resources that we share from the webinars. I think that kind of covers everything. Jill asks, so the first basic class is 6 weeks equals 2 months of membership, correct?
Yeah, that would be right. Yep. So if you want to take just that class, you would pay $194 because it's 97 bucks a month.
Will the text work in Canada? I know we've had that question before.
I don't know actually. I haven't tested it. So if I guess try it and let us know, please.
If not, Michelle, go to bizvideoschool.com or go to the Business Video School Facebook page and send a message. Just send a message saying you want to sign up for the free stuff and put your email in it, and you can do that. Yeah,
and if you go to bizvideoschool.com, there's a tab for the free video tips. It literally just says free video tips, I believe. So easy enough to get to. Yeah.
Yep, Nancy. Yes, after the class, you can still review. You can get in and out. It's basically the design of the class is perpetual. So you can get what you need and get out. You can stay in for advanced stuff. I mean, we're going to get deep on social media stuff. We're going to get deep on literally Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff. But we start with the basics first, and then it's like a progression. It's like high school, right, Nick? Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and so on.
No, I mean, and that is a good point. Is that the more we've worked with people to teach them video, the more we've kind of realized that this is an enormous subject. I mean, video is a whole new form of communication. I mean, it's like learning an entire new language and then learning how to use that language in a whole bunch of different situations. So there's a lot, right? Like there's all kinds of topics that we can cover. The goal is just to get you started though. I mean, so if you're somebody that really hasn't gotten started making video like this is your chance, right? I mean, we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to push you. We're going to make it that much easier to get going, which is rare. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities out there right now. And I'm sure there will be more. Like we're not, so unique that no one's ever going to be able to do something similar, but there's not a lot of opportunities out there where somebody's going to actually push you and hold you accountable to making video. And once you've made 5 or 10 or 15 and kind of got it under your belt, it gets a lot easier. And then we can try the more advanced stuff, right? You can get into learning to edit. You can get into script videos. You can get into sketches, doing stuff that's 5 minutes long and has 10 different shots in it. But you don't want to start there. I've seen so many people start way too complicated, buy a bunch of equipment, get way too fancy, and then shoot themselves in the foot as a result. So this is all about just getting started from the beginning, and then we'll work you gradually up to what you need. And then whenever you're done, you hop out at that point, right? And you can always come back later if you want to. But to kind of answer the specific question, if you do have a class that you've taken, you will always have access to those trainings. So even if you leave the school, if you took a course, you will have access to those trainings, right? So we don't want to take that away from you in any way. But you won't have access to the group and the camaraderie and all that kind of stuff, obviously, but you will have access to the trainings.
And let me clarify one more time on the text. Learn video, one word. It's got to be together. And if you have a signature in your text, it won't work. It only can be learn video to 44222. And if it doesn't work, go to bizvideoschool.com, bizvideoschool.com. You can sign up that way. That's always an alternative.
Yeah,
and Tiffany asked a question about a starter mic. Tiffany, that's not what this webinar was about. We actually have one about equipment. And we can certainly, if you want to DM one of us or send a message to Business Video School, we can certainly get it to you. What time does the class start, Nick? Usually, what time do the classes run?
This next one, so the one that we're currently enrolling in it starts next Thursday, and it's at 12 o'clock noon Central Time. So depending on where you are, if you're in East Coast, it'd be 1 o'clock. If you're Pacific Time, it'd be 10 a.m. So that one starts next Thursday at 12 o'clock Central Time. So honestly, I'd recommend if you do want to get enrolled, get into that class because, we're going to have additional classes, but we don't have any other ones scheduled yet. So it's not meant to scare you necessarily. There will be another one, but I would go ahead and get into that one if you do have an opportunity to do so. And then I saw another question here clarifying about the 97 bucks a month. That covers everything. So if you want to enroll in multiple courses, you can. I would really strongly recommend you don't ever do more than maybe 2 at a time unless you literally just have your entire week open or something. But you can enroll in multiple courses, and everything that we have through our campus is also always available. So even if you're in a course and you're doing something every single week, there's going to be high-level interviews with influencers, people who have built their real estate businesses around using video. We're going to bring them in, we're going to interview them, We're gonna have them give you all their secrets, so to speak, of how they did it, right? We're gonna have little extra workshops. I mean, really, it's like this is gonna be like a college campus. I mean, I'm even thinking we might have some concerts at some point just for fun, right? But that's the idea. Is we're building a community. We're building a community of people that want to take this step of using video to communicate with their customers. This is the future of communication, and we want to build a huge community of people that are embracing it and facing the challenge that it is, but making the most of it, right? So if that sounds like it's you, if it sounds like you're the kind of person that wants to be a part of that, come on and join us, right? Just go to bizvideoschool.com, and we'll see you next Thursday on the first class.
That's correct. Awesome. I think we should wrap it up. We've gone 13 minutes over.
Yeah, I know we're definitely late here.
And for anybody that has any questions for us, you're welcome to message us, message the video school, message us personally. We always respond, so feel free.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. You guys, it's 5 o'clock where I am, which means I am gonna go have a beer and get started on an early weekend. I guess I still have to work tomorrow, but that doesn't mean I can't have a beer. You should do the same. You guys have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you all next week.
Enjoy the holiday. Yep. Thanks for joining us.